So can I pull back? I want to back to the large versus small piece, which is that as we see this space mature, then we're starting to move away from the excitement of being able to ask natural language questions. And now we're moving towards the viability of what's the approach. So do I want to have to build something that might melt through the surface of the earth because the heat it produced to be able to have, 11 trillion variables involved in something, or do I want something smaller? And maybe do I want that to work on a phone or an earpiece, right? So, but this is a really interesting observation because we're starting to see the real value from these approaches, right?
No, you totally nailed it.
Okay.
And I should point out that it's not really an either or. Should we use a large language model or a small language model? It's maybe like your reference to wrenches. It isn't like one wrench is more correct than another. It depends what bolt you're trying to tighten. And so we're starting to see the hybridization of small language models and large language models where, and I'll pick on autonomous vehicles because I think they're pretty relatable. And it's also where a ton of this research is being applied. But the idea where if I've got a small language model that is communicating with the driver, maybe infotainment, maybe navigation, what have you, and the driver is communicating and wants to know the capital of Bolivia, or that might not be anything that the local small language model can handle, but a quick call, so to speak, to the large language model will come back with a whole explanation, right? Of something that is out of scope, if you will. The other thing is within the vehicle, we're starting to see a technique called mixture of experts being applied. The idea here is that for a given task, let's say navigating from here to a restaurant, there might be 5 or 6 different models required to do that. You mentioned one earlier. How do I safely navigate? I don't want to run over cows or people. And if I had a choice, I'd probably rather run over a cow, right? So you have one model that maybe is working with the imaging system and the LiDAR system to make that differentiation. You may have another system that is saying, do I have enough battery range to actually get there? And that's that maybe is a system that is totally focused on range estimation and battery life cycle. So there may be dozens of these models that are working. The mixture of experts says, what if I had if you will, a master model that could go ahead and put weights on these different models given different circumstances? Maybe I don't always need to be looking at battery range. Maybe I just need to look at that periodically. Watching out the front for cows and humans, that's a constant thing. But getting kind of the collection of expertise, if you will, all pulled in. Now there's some challenges that need to be overcome with mixture of experts. Namely, all of those models need to be memory resident so that they can be spun up and queried, almost instantaneously. So that, before we said one of the advantages of a small language model was lower power, lower memory. This kind of undoes that a little bit, but you do get some very interesting results from it.
Maybe, but at least we have the option of thinking about it because dealing with a much smaller problem space for memory and compute is always easier because we could
Yeah.
always, than something. Oops.
It looks
I,
like you have a small animal model.
I am trying to prevent any barking from occurring, and so I don't know that that's going to happen here.
But it's all good. I think it's all good.